Welcome to episode 28 of the Take Two podcast, where today we are addressing your hot takes from the Discord. Let's go.
All right, and we are live here with the Take Two podcast after Kenny's, what would you call it, sabbatical?
Yeah, I think sabbatical is a fair word. Me and my wife went to Scottsdale to celebrate our wedding anniversary, and shout out to, I think it was McNeasy. It may have been Glide. I can't remember, but whoever had given me the recommendation to go to New York Pizza District in Scottsdale, Arizona. Great pizza. I
That
did
was that
try
was
it.
Mickey. That was McNeasy, my black friend. You sent a watermelon emoji to.
Yeah, I know. Apparently, I offended a ton of people. I also offended Glide this week by sending him a farmer emoji, which apparently was a comment on his Hispanic heritage.
Yep.
Um,
Who else did you
yeah,
offend
who
this week?
who knew that Sam had, friends from other ethnicities?
I have
Wasn't
one of
counting on that.
each. That's what I do. I only, I
You a,
have
you a token friend for
Yeah,
each.
I have one of each. Yeah,
Good.
another person in another Discord pointed out they found it very interesting that you called uh, my one. Actually, I can't even say that joke on there. It's so hot. It's so bad. I can't even say it. Okay, let's just say you were getting criticism from a lot of people in front of closed doors and behind closed doors.
Oh, no
And
doubt. This week I've hit an all-time low. I didn't know what 6'7" was. I actually still don't know what 6'7" is. Apparently it's a basketball term. I didn't know what was the guy's name? Ryan something or another.
I,
I
I
don't remember.
I don't know. I just learned what
Did
it
you know
was
who
like a
that
week,
was?
2 weeks ago, and it's just kind of like stupid Gen Z nonsense. So that's all
Yeah.
the 6'7" thing is.
But before we continue, it's something we always forget to do. We're here live. We're here for the people. We're here for the love of the game. I'm here for my mistress, Clout, and Sam's just here for much more uh, noble reasons. But don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, I think some of the funnest things that we've done on this podcast have come from the Discord. This episode being one of them. Come and join our Discord. Even if you don't really like our videos, you might like some of the people in our Discord. I think that they're funny. I think they're great. They've given us a lot of great ideas. So this episode is dedicated to those guys. So
Yeah, I love that. Join the Discord. You'll see completely different sides of Sam and Kenny. Sometimes you'll get angry Sam, sometimes you'll get keyboard Kenny, and things get, I wouldn't even say explosive. I would make more so say implosive. Like
oh
things
yeah.
things go downwards and inwards horribly.
Yeah, we're definitely our own worst enemies on there. But that's what we're there for. We're there, to even though we may seem like we're just these golden Adonises on
Yes.
our silver thrones, with all the ball knowledge when it comes to movies, really, we're just normal guys.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, do we want to? Something that was really interesting this week is Sam and I got our very first email. Do we
yeah.
want to talk
From
about? I think we
from
should
what?
talk about
AI.
this. Yeah, we got this email from this like AI scam robot trying to get us set up with some dude who had gone to Cornell
You know what?
and written a sci-fi
It's too
novel.
confusing. It's too confusing. But that can weave into one of my hot takes later on, and I'll just leave
Okay.
it at AI. Also, Josh in the chat, first one in the chat. What's up, Josh? Thanks for being here.
Hey
And
Josh.
yeah, basically, in light of Kenny's, we'll say debacles this week in the chat, we decided to have the hot takes episode. So
Yeah.
anyone from the show, mainly the Discord, could submit takes to Kenny. Kenny knows them ahead of time. I don't. It'll work out best that way. And so I guess without further ado, Kenny, how many hot takes are there?
Oh, I have lost track of how many hot
Oh
takes we
wow.
have. Um, so we're just gonna go through them. I'll make sure that all these people remain anonymous, except for the people who I hate, in which case
Oh, jeez. So
I might
everyone.
I might dox them. So, but the first hot take I received, actually no, I'm just gonna say who each of the so
Well, how short should we keep these responses? Are these like we should respond pretty? I'm just wondering. Like, I was expecting like six hot takes. You're making it sound like there's like a dozen. Like,
yeah, we have. I think that a dozen is probably close to what we have. We
okay,
have like anywhere between a dozen and 15. I would say that like
I'll try and keep my
people.
responses
So
short and
what we'll do?
sweet.
Well, the first thing we'll do is I'll read the take. I'll say who it's by, and we'll first make a judgment on is this a hot take or not.
So you are
If
saying
it's
who
not a
it's
hot,
by. You're just gonna throw everyone under the bus.
yeah.
I
I
like
mean,
it.
everyone's here on their Discord name. I think it's
I like
fine.
it.
So
I like it.
okay, so the first hot take we have is from Dilbo Baggins. The best Star Wars movies are made by Disney.
So,
Sam, hot take or not hot take? How is that an ice cold take or is
no,
that a
no,
hot
no.
take?
That's like the hottest take on earth. I've never heard someone say that ever. So, th- um, here's what I'm gonna do. Now that you mentioned this, I'm gonna rate the hotness of the take, and then I'm
Okay,
also
okay.
gonna rate the validity of the take too.
Our our scale will be like cottage cheese to ghost pepper.
Okay, so this is like, oh man, this is like, I'll say Fireball hot. This is probably like an 8 or a 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
So that's a really hot take. I would say the quality of this take, the goodness of this take is probably like a, I don't know, like 3 out of 10. Like, I don't think I've never heard anyone say that ever. Like, I've never heard anyone say that anything's better than the original trilogy, which I agree with. I'm a big hot take guy, but like, I've seen them all so many times, and the original trilogy just like trumps almost everything. But I will say, um, Star Wars, since it came under Disney, has just had a lot of hit and misses. I think,
yeah,
without getting too into it, there is a film that Disney made with Star Wars that is my third favorite Star Wars film. And I know you're like, oh, third, that's not that good. Well, like most people, I have, um, Empire Strikes Back as my favorite, and then A New Hope as my second favorite. But
hmm,
sneakily, there is, a third movie, and and it's amazing, to me. It's Rogue One. I think Rogue
yeah,
One is like a 9 out of 10. I've seen it
yeah,
twice. I just think it's like none of the movies by J.J. Abrams or Ryan Johnson even like come close to it, which is kind of crazy because like it's sort of this side movie, and Disney went into making these side movies like Solo and some stuff like that, and like they made all these shows, and a lot of them were kind of crap, like in my opinion, but they hit Rogue One like super hard. Like they got the
yeah.
best actors, they got the best
Gareth Edwards
writers.
just crushed that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like it is like visually absolutely stunning. Like the narrative stunning, and what's crazy is like it's one of the only movies like where we don't see a Jedi in the movie. Like
hmm,
we see Vader for a small period, and he's epic. Like it, so.
yeah,
Without going too much down the rabbit hole here, yeah, I'm gonna give that take like a 3 because I
yeah,
don't think any of um, the Disney trilogy, which is what most people think of, are like none of them are in like the top movies for me. I know some people say differently, but like they're kind of a mess. Like
yeah.
there's been a mess on the screen, a little bit of a mess off the screen, even though I can appreciate them for what they are.
I think I would actually say that this take, like, it is a hot take, but I would probably pull it close to a 6 or a 7. And a lot of this has to do with like it's less about like the best Star Wars movies being made by Disney and also just like because we have nine base films and then what the two kind of anthology sort of
Hmm.
we have Solo and we have Rogue One. And so when we're looking at those, like if you were to take the average of quality of every single Star Wars movie and you were just to average them, some of the movies that like I'm with you, like Empire Strikes Back is a five. I think that Rogue One is a five. My like the hottest take I've had on this podcast is probably that I think Last Jedi is a five. But then there's a lot of other movies that are like Solo, hot garbage. We can both agree Tross is hot garbage. I still do really like Force Awakens because uh, just like that the wonder of a new Star Wars movie coming out was kind of novel to me just because of how I felt when the prequel trilogy came out in terms of my age. And so that movie's high for me. But then like I really am not a Return of the Jedi guy.
You
I
don't like Return of the
like
Jedi?
I do like it, but I just think that it's pretty mid in comparison to the like other two movies in that trilogy. And then like like Phantom and I've grown to appreciate the prequel trilogy again. And I think that like the most indefensible things have also of Star Wars have been made by Disney, so it's kind of like why it's probably like a six, where I think it's like a middle of the road because I think Han Solo is hot garbage, I think Tross is hot garbage, but the prequel trilogy was also not like Return of the Sith good, not great, and the other two movies are not good. So I think that it's more of an indictment to me on the overall quality of Star Wars. Like you said, Star Wars is very up and down, which is so strange just because the world is so interesting and vast. And like I would even say that if Dylan would have or if Dilbo would have changed the response to say the best Star Wars things are made by Disney, then I would say that's the coldest take ever because I think Clone Wars is incredible. I think Rebels is incredible. Like those two TV
But I
shows,
think at
I
the end
think
of the
the
day,
first
Kenny, you
season
just
of
said,
Mandalorian is
I
great.
think you just said the best movies. So no average, nothing like that. I think if you were to go legitimately, go
Yeah,
to 10 different lists online, you're going to find A New Hope and you're going to find um, Empire Strikes Back at the top two on 9 to 10 of those lists. And I think,
maybe.
yeah, and
I
like,
think that yeah.
no, like
It would depend
legitimately,
on the person's age, but yeah.
no, no, no. Legitimately, go to any, look up 10 lists. You're going to find those two at the top of 9 of them. And I think at the end of the day, if we're talking best, like that's just like kind of obvious consensus for the most part. But I think we answered that one pretty well.
Okay. So this one, entry from McNeasy. This is also Star Wars related. Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, is the most mid-entry out of the original and prequel trilogies.
A New Hope.
Is the most mid-entry.
Oh no, I would say hot take on a scale of 1 to 10. I'd put that in the fireball range, like 8 out of 10. I would say somewhere up there. So pretty hot take for sure. Um, quality of take, I would give that like a I don't know, like a three. Like A New Hope is, it that movie has so much credibility to it. It launched the Star Wars universe, which was something completely unseen. Like everything that comes off after that is just like leeching off of that. It's a perfect version of the hero's journey. It's so awesome. We like it's mystical at the beginning. It's charming. We meet Darth Vader. Like the everything in it is awesome. Like even like this fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader is awesome. It's more of like
Oh,
it's so
I
mist.
disagree with you. I feel like that's really like corny, but
Oh no, I
I,
love
I
it
think
because
I
it's
think
very mystical. It's very
yeah.
like
He just like vanishes and he's just
well,
gone.
yeah,
Yeah.
what this movie did was it created like a world of mystery for us. It was like we're hearing these two people talk about the Force. We're getting the origin of like, oh, how do they know each other? That's interesting. We didn't know that. I think so many people look back and take things like A New Hope for granted because they've been around. It's been around the longest, and it's the most iconic. Like, you see it
Mm-hmm.
made fun of in anything from Cartoon Network to, Family Guy to The
Spaceballs.
Simpsons. It's the one made fun of, like, and picked apart, like, down to a T. But, like, it's not because it's bad. It's just so iconic, and it's been, like, scraped through a million times over. Like, I've seen it so many times, and I think it's wonderful. It's lovely. I think it's epic. Like, it's the introduction of all these, like, incredible, like, round characters, and so many mysteries that we, you know get to see fulfilled in other films, and it all really stems from this movie. So, to
Yeah,
me, I still love A New Hope. It's my second favorite movie. I've seen it 100 times, and I'll continue to love it.
I actually really can really get behind and actually respect McNeezy's take here because I think it also depends on like how you came to Star Wars to
McNeesey
where
also just didn't like this movie because Lando Calrissian wasn't in it. Anyways, go
yeah,
ahead, continue.
my mistake on responding with a watermelon emoji.
Yeah.
But I think that uh, to me this take is like because I think there's two schools of thought when it comes to Star Wars. One, it's like, hey, can you recognize New Hope for like like movies like there is before New Hope and there's after New Hope. Like I really think that New Hope is like the inflection point where it's like you have everything from Industrial Light and Design from ILS saying, here's what we can do with movies. Here's how we're going to move forward. This is like our first major step that I can think of into IP, except for maybe when you get to like Charlie Chaplin movies or just like you'd have these like actors that there'd be a lot of movies that people would get into, but this is like our first step into whoa, I want to know more about this world. I want to know more about this lore. The first time we'd seen that in the cinematic world. So I think there's that aspect to it where you can see that and be like, okay, I can understand why Star Wars is great. But then there's the other school of thought, and I think that this is also more of a mindset of people maybe a little younger than us, Sam, where they grew up on particularly either the prequel trilogy or the new trilogy and they watched Force Awakens first maybe and then saw New Hope later and they're like, "Wait, Force Awakens just did New Hope but better. Like it looks way cooler, the action's way cooler, all that sort of stuff." And I kind of think that this is like because of that, and I think because of that dialogue right now, that's maybe a 5 out of 10 hot take. And I actually think that I can understand why people come that way where if you're approaching New Hope from looking back on it instead of understanding where it was in its time, then you're like, oh, this is like just a really campy thing and it's all
I don't
clunky
even think
and the
it's
acting's bad
I
maybe.
don't even
And
think
I
it's campy. I don't think the acting's bad. Like, I mean, you're getting, like, um
dude, I don't think Mark Hamill was like at his A game in this movie.
I'm
He's
telling
hard to
you, Mark
watch.
Hamill was good. He just gets memed on in this movie, like, because the movie's been dissected so much. Like, people are like, "Oh, he's a whiny teenager." It's like, "Oh, wait, he actually is a teenager in the movie." Like, there are these things where it's like he actually portrays the character he's supposed to be well. It's like we're getting Han Solo, we're getting Harrison Ford, like peak Harrison Ford, like chill, dope, charismatic, like every scene with him is awesome. Like, I love everything about it. Like, I love the cantina scenes. I love it. Feels so much more laid back than any other Star Wars movie. Like, as someone who's
Hmm.
probably seen this a dozen times and Force Awakens half a dozen times, Force Awakens has, like, so many jokes and really awkward moments, like, that don't
Yeah.
hit. A lot of, like, forced charm. There's none
It's
of that
definitely a
here.
lot of like the Marvel like
Yeah,
Marvelification
exactly.
of
And it doesn't all
every
hit.
movie.
And, like, everything hits in that movie as far as, like, charm goes. And it feels very natural. Like, it feels like the characters all belong. I love it. Yeah,
I
but I
think
was
I
going
think the
into South
charm
Station to
that
pick up some power converters. Like, like people make fun of that line. It's like, yeah, it's kind of funny, but it's also like, dude, that's the first time. Like, you know how hard that is for like these actors to like they're buying into this like ridiculous universe that's never been created and like delivering these lines as if they're like very natural. Like I
Yeah.
get it, but we probably
And
shouldn't spend too
it
much
feels
longer
lived
on
in.
this.
Yeah, it feels lived in. We actually have quite a few Star Wars takes, so I'm going to kind of jump around to these other Star Wars takes since we're
I'm
kind of
like
on a
the
roll.
biggest Star Wars nerd, so like we
Yeah.
can do Star Wars, but
From
there's so many
from
goods.
Josh from Josh the Street. Hot take, John Williams is actually a bad composer. His scores are too instantly recognizable. A good score should enhance a movie, not be the star of it.
Okay, that is so funny because um first off, take hotness of take. What was it? Ghost pepper. I'm gonna say ghost pepper take.
It's the hottest
10,
take.
yeah, 10 out of 10. It's the hottest take. Quality of take is like a 0. It's like getting like the wings thrown out of Buffalo Wild Wings that someone threw up after they had blazing wings. It's so ironic because like 3 days ago, I told Lauren that is so funny that he posted that. We spent the morning listening through John Williams' greatest hits in the
Yeah.
morning with our baby. And Lauren's like jaw was dropped. She was like, I cannot believe this one guy wrote all these iconic
Right.
songs, and
Yeah.
it was like Star Wars, Jurassic Park, E.T.,
Superman,
Superman. It was Raiders of the Lost
Harry
Ark, right?
Potter.
Harry Potter. It's like, and I literally told her, I'm like, all right, he's the greatest film composer of all time, which is so funny because Josh is now saying I've never heard anyone say John Williams is a bad composer. That is a really hot take though. But
Yeah.
I mean, I was
I'm
sitting
kind of with
there.
you where Jen and I had gone to one of those like orchestral movie things
Oh,
where
you
they were just
did?
like
That's awesome.
they went and like did they just played a bunch of John Williams songs and it was like, oh my gosh, like you know every single one of these songs. And I think this like his scores are very recognizable, and I actually do think there's an argument. This is a really hot take. For me, this is yeah, this is like
John Williams is a national treasure.
yeah, I'm trying to think of like the step below Ghost Pepper. It's like it's a 9 out of 10. This is a 9 out of 10
Somewhere in
hot
between
take.
Fireball and Ghost Pepper.
Yeah, this is a 9 out of 10 hot take. And man, it the he makes the movie like Indiana Jones. Like there's so many of these that it's just like it does make the movie, and I can understand what he's saying about a good score should enhance the movie, not be the star
I
of
think they
it.
do
But
enhance
it's
the
like
film.
you don't have some of these characters like you don't have Leia's theme, you don't have the songs for Hogwarts, like you don't have the world at all. Like the world is literally not even the same. It is
He
not nearly as rich or as deep without these John
I
Williams
couldn't see
scores.
anyone, well, except for maybe Josh. I couldn't see anyone saying. I've never. I couldn't imagine anyone saying these are taking away from the world. I think it is the
Yeah.
hardest thing to do, and what he does. And I was actually ranting to Lauren about this the other day. Lauren in the chat says this is the hottest take. OMG. I was ranting to her saying that has to be the most difficult thing is to take a work that's being created and for you to not only enhance it with your score, but to also like make it iconic, to bring it to a level of legendary. Be like, we all think of who's the guy that does all of Chris Nolan's uh,
Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer, right? He's like the modern composer, and everything's kind of like these beats and little drums and stuff. And like I love Hans Zimmer as much as the next guy, but I'm like, it's not even like I can. It's really hard to think of an iconic Hans Zimmer song. And like I listen to
Mhm.
like his soundtracks like when I used to write, when I'm studying all the time. And like I
Yeah.
like all of his music and I feel like his music generally enhances the films too, like in a really good way. Like he's awesome. But nothing like this, where like the iconicness of these uh like compositions that John Williams came up with is amazing. You don't see it in Hollywood nowadays.
Right.
Where's that talent? Like he's coming out there with a
I think
full
that there
orchestra.
definitely are. I would maybe push back a little bit against that because I do think that like even though I find Hans Zimmer actually to be a little bit more divisive than John Williams might be, like you still have Interstellar, you still have Inception, you still have these
I'm not knocking it.
iconic
I'm not knocking
you have
it.
you have the Chris Nolan
I
Batman
know.
theme,
I'm not knocking
like
it.
you still have a lot of these things, and I think that Hans Zimmer's great at enhancing like a theme of a movie where I think that John Williams, like his skill was in terms of enhancing a character. You also have like Michael Giacchino. I am not a fan of what's this? This guy was a protege of Hans Zimmer, and I'm Junkie XL. I'm not really a big Junkie XL guy, but I can understand where people come from. Like there is talent there, but like in terms of like I'm going to make a theme song that is going to literally define these characters to where you think about Indiana Jones and yes, you see Harrison Ford's face, but it's almost like smelling your grandma's cookies, right? It like instantly takes you back to a memory, and that memory is da 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 da. Like you just hear it right away.
Yeah.
So Josh, that might be the hottest take of our
Glide
night, I
Glide
think.
just arrived. Cool. Thank
What up,
you. I'm glad
Glide?
Glide is in the chat.
Oh, this is actually perfect timing for us to go into Glide's first hot take.
Okay. Multiple hot takes from Glide. Okay.
Yeah. We have three hot takes from Glide. Luke Skywalker is the worst hero in movie history. He is unlikable and he complains and whines. Mark Hamill is such a bad actor and doesn't help Luke's likability at all.
Um, okay, I would say hotness of this take is like buffalo sauce hot. It's like a 4, like out of 10 because as we mentioned earlier, I feel like Mark Hamill just gets dunked on a lot. He's the protagonist in arguably the biggest IP of all time, and he's really nitpicked. I think he's great. I think he like I I'm someone who can appreciate all the jokes that are made about him, like while also still being like, man, you were great. Like you get your freaking hand cut off in Empire Strikes Back. Spoiler alert. Um, and like his reaction, like his scream to that, or like learning that Darth Vader is his father, like I feel like that's really tough to pull off. Like his emotion that he put into it, I felt was awesome. Like especially in the biggest moments of 4, 5, and 6, he comes through. Like you can feel him when he's in the X-wing and he like drops the bomb and like he's drenched in sweat and he takes like a deep breath and like he hits. Like I just feel like he hits the big moments really, really well. Like I get that he comes off as whiny, but as far as like a hot take goes, it's so like I just feel like that take's really overdone. It's really beaten into the ground. I hated him in the Last Jedi. Like I felt like they mocked his character, made him really like cheesy there. Like which again, hey, that's not helping his case in me defending him here. Like he's had some bad looks, but yeah. So like validity of the take, I don't know, 5 out of 10, and I would say hotness like 4 or 5 out of 10.
I would actually say that Last Jedi helps Mark Hamill's case. I think that like what he brought to that character and just kind of like the inner turmoil and his struggle with the dark side, which is something that is true to like what every Jedi needs to go through is the struggle with the dark side. And really, Luke in Episode 8 is the only, with the exception of Anakin, who just totally falls for the dark side, he is the only person who we see directly encounter and fight the dark side within himself and overcomes. And I think that Mark Hamill's acting in that is also a big part of it. Also, I don't know if you know this, Glide, but Mark Hamill is one of the most prolific voice actors of our time. Where Joker in the Batman animated series in particular, that's something I'm sure that Sam is super familiar with
And
as well as myself.
The Arkham Knight
And
series.
yeah, and the Arkham Knight, just like he is, man, we've never ranked Jokers, but I think that like he is my favorite Joker depiction. Like the animated
Wow.
Joker has always kind of been my favorite. Both in
Clyde says, "Who cares
the
about Last Jedi? We're counting those movies." That's a great point, Clyde.
go back to the cornfields, Glide.
Oh, jeez.
The no, but in reality, I think that I do understand his take in terms of like Luke. Again, we had the conversation earlier before Glad had joined on, but I do agree with it's like Luke is probably to me the weakest part of the original series. Like when I think of the charisma and stuff, you think of Leia, you think of Lando Calrissian, you think of Han Solo. Like Chewie probably endeared himself more to us. Well, he definitely did, as well as the droids endeared themselves more to us maybe than Luke Skywalker
I,
did.
I would push back on that. I think Luke gets too much hate, but we don't have time for everything. But
Yeah.
Clyde does says Mark Hamill is one of the most prolific Twitter complainers. That's true. But we do listen. Most actors, and I'll get into my hot take later. My hot take is going to be about a particular actor, but it's going to be about actors in general. Like most actors are twats. Okay, so we'll get into that. And you kind of have to really separate that because he is one of the most obnoxious human beings on earth. But
Right.
Clyde also says those who can't act voice act. That's a great line. That's a great point.
Wow.
Touche. Touche.
Savage. Yeah.
Okay, what is our next one?
From LD. Hot take. The show Friends is not funny.
Ooh, yeah. Um, I would
Ross is
say
definitely not funny. There's nothing funny about
I
Ross.
would say the hotness of that take is probably like a 7 out of 10. So maybe like if a rattlesnake bit you on the neck, I don't know. That seems like something that would be hot. I
That
clearly don't
sounds
know Colorado
sounds spicy
geography.
for
To
sure.
me, this isn't fair because LD, I know her pretty well, but the validity of this for me is like, I would say like an 8 out of 10. Like everyone hates Friends. Clyde says, "Listen, I hate Friends," so I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna jump into that camp. Um, they say there's two people in the world. There's Friends people, and there's Seinfeld people. And I am
Mhm.
a diehard Seinfeld person. Okay, I love Curb Your Enthusiasm. I love Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Um,
Mhm.
so I naturally hate Friends. I have tried to watch Friends without the laugh track on, and it's brutal. It's like a running meme. Like those characters to me are just like absurd caricatures. Like you mentioned, Ross. Ross isn't funny. They're all just like
Yeah.
super one note characters. The show also has kind of a lot of like, it gets more drama, right? Like Seinfeld never got serious ever in 9 seasons, and like there's always this sort of will they, won't they? There's always like these, you know, social like LGBTQ themes and Friends, like very progressive show. Like they always had sort of an agenda going on. It's like when you're doing all that stuff, you're putting funny to the side. So like without going on for too long, I can agree. Like I just don't find Friends funny. It's way
Yeah.
over the top to me. So I don't know how you land on Friends, Kenny, but it's not for me.
I I haven't seen that much of Friends. What I have seen and like I've generally enjoyed as a background show, but for the most part, like I would definitely agree that this is, I don't I find this to be like a maybe like a six take just because it's like do I have I laughed at stuff in Friends for sure, but does it deserve like the iconographic praise that it gets? And like in the in popular culture, absolutely not. Like I actually feel similarly about The Office, even though The Office is definitely funnier. I kind of just feel like The Office has been overdone, unfortunately.
Are you
Like
taking
the
wait? Are you taking stray shots at The Office?
I just kind of find both of these shows to have a very similar fan base to where they're like, oh, the only show ever worth watching is Friends, or the only show ever worth watching is
Wow, I've
like
never. That's
The
interesting because
Office.
the Office crowd tends to fall in the Seinfeld crowd, in the
Yeah,
Always Sunny in Philadelphia crowd. So I'm
yeah.
interested that
Well, and
you
I,
feel
that's
that
that's
that's
not at
front and
all a
center.
crit. It's not that's not intended necessarily to be a critique of The Office. Or I also love Always Sunny. I haven't seen that much of Seinfeld, so I'm not going to comment on it. But um, I think it's more the fact that those shows both have this sort of like fan base where Friends, like there's just not a lot to write home about. Even the substance that it hasn't have much home to write home about, and like people who are like fans of The Office are just so annoying. They just like won't shut up about how Michael Scott's like the funniest person in the world, and oh my gosh, like do you remember that one episode of The Office with Dwight? And I'm like, no, because every episode has Dwight in it, and while it's such a
Dang.
shame.
I
Like
feel like you might be missing out
it's
on The
more of my hatred
Office.
of Office fandom than it is about The Office itself. Like I wish I could live in a world where I
Have
was the
you
only person.
seen The Office?
Yeah, well, I've seen 7 seasons. I stopped watching after Michael Scott
Okay.
left and what's his face came in. Will um
Will Ferrell.
yeah, Will Ferrell came in. So that's kind of where I stopped. Again, I had a great time. I laughed at it, but it's just like, golly, I wish I could watch that show in a vacuum and not have to deal with all the stupid fans of that show.
Wow.
All right,
Jeez.
we're gonna move on to the next
Whew.
take. This is from Bocage Jail or Bocage L. Uh, Interstellar is not a top five Chris Nolan movie. Man, I find that to be a cold take because I think let's think about this. Prestige, a better movie. Memento, a better movie.
Well,
Uh,
hold on. Before you go crazy, I would say most people off the cuff would not argue that, or would argue that it's a top five movie. I think a lot of people would say it's their favorite Chris Nolan movie, which is shocking to me. But
you
it's
think
something.
so?
Oh, I've heard that a lot. Like there are people obsessed with
Oh,
Interstellar because it's, um, I don't think there's a lot of great like space movies out there
it's
personally,
true.
and I think a lot of people who are attracted to space um, love that movie. So, but
Yeah.
to your point, I'm looking at the list here. Okay, I like
You got
Memento
all of the Batman.
more.
Yeah, Batman Begins and Dark Knight.
Yeah, Prestige, Inception. Oh, there's
Prestige,
five right
Inception,
there.
obviously.
I like Dark Knight Rises more than Interstellar. That's six. And ooh, okay, it's kind of close. So like, I think
Yeah, let me pull up the
Interstellar would
list.
be six or seven for me. So it is close, but I like the take. I like that
Did
take a
you?
lot. I'm gonna give that take hotness. I'm gonna give it a seven, and validity. I'm gonna give it like a nine. I love it. I think that is my
Did you
favorite
not
hot take.
like? I was trying to remember. You're not an Oppenheimer guy.
No, I thought Oppenheimer was good, but it didn't feel like a Chris Nolan film. It was
Okay.
very much Oscar bait for me. It's not a film
Hmm.
I ever want to really return to for any reason. Like every one of his other films, besides Dunkirk, I've seen many, many times.
Dunkirk is the very bottom of the Chris Nolan list, and it's
Yes,
just not even close.
yes, and so this is actually. So who submitted this question?
This is my buddy Jake, but Bocage L in
Okay,
the chat.
Bocatch, I am giving this the highest rankings. Okay, this is my favorite. This is my favorite. So let's see. Josh said Justin Herbert picked Interstellar over Citizen Kane as the best movie of all time. Oh well, bad quarterback, bad film critic. What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Lauren says I loved
he's clearly
Interstellar.
all about looks.
Lauren
You
said, I
know.
loved Interstellar. It's a top five for me. Great take. See, that's what I think. I think a lot of people really, truly, deeply love Interstellar. So, like,
I really like it. I
I do
just
too.
also
I do too.
yeah
But
like
that's why I think it's a great take. I think this is the best take so far. I think this is a
yeah
take you don't hear often. And I
yeah
think it has a lot of validity to it.
yeah.
But I could see people putting it in the top five if they're not particular to horror, or not horror, to superhero movies. I think it slips in there. So, like, yeah, I love this take. This is great.
Yeah. All right, we're circling back around to Dilbo Baggins here,
McNeezy's in
and
the chat.
oh McNeasy. All right, let's
Josh is in the
see.
chat. Glide's in the chat. Lauren's in the chat. We've got a good
McNeasy only
chat going.
submitted one hot take,
We already
so
covered McNeezy's, but he can be here to
McNeasy,
chime in on
if
the
you want
others.
another one, I mean we're here. So, um, I'm gonna read this one from Dilbo Baggins. I'm curious your thought. Movies haven't gotten more woke. Right wingers just have become much more easily triggered. Ridley Scott's Alien would have been accused for being woke back in the 80s for having a female, quote, girl boss protagonist. What do
Um,
you think?
yeah, I mean, I don't. I think that's a pretty bad take. So that would be like, how do I rate a bad take? But is it a hot take? I would say it's a hot take. I'll give it a. I think most people would agree over time, more social and political pumpings have been going into films, regardless of what side you lean. I think
Hmm.
obviously it's going to be 99% leftism pumped into things because that's who runs Hollywood. But I think even, films made in reaction, like smaller studios in reaction, are also pumping their stuff with First Amendment rights and like stuff like that. Like it has become
Hmm.
much more political, much more social. So, yeah. So like I would say it's a hot take. I give it like a 7 out of 10 on the hot take meter. Validity, I would say, is probably like a one. Like it's not very good. Like I could point out just a million different examples of how things have gotten super woke, right? Like off the cuff example, there's I don't know, you're maybe a little too young for this, Kenny, but like growing up, I would watch Goosebumps on TV, like the old school, like when Ryan Gosling was in an episode or two, like, and they were really fun, they were really good, and you just followed the books, right? Goosebumps. They tried to remake a series. Justin Long was in it. It completely failed. Why did it fail? Immediately, like the first character was like trans. The second character was like gay. And it was just like all these things being pumped down our throats where we were like, whoa, this isn't normal. This is like, and it feels like that, right? I went through a period of time where it was like, every character was like gay or trans in a TV show, and that was the twist, or it was just like we're throwing this in your face, down your throat, and like statistically, it just didn't make sense. It was like clearly an agenda is being pushed like really hard here. So, I think it's become more like politics and social like pressures have become so intense. I mean, think about, I mean, all the way to the Academy Awards, right? The Academy Awards, the peak of the peak is like, oh, we will not even consider your movie unless you have enough people of color or if you don't have enough LGBTQ representation. Like, come on. Like, all the way into our institutions, it's where it's bleeding now. Like, that
Hmm.
wasn't around before. And I didn't see anyone complaining back in the day with Ridley Scott Alien. Like, it was famous, it was popular, it blew up, the actor blew up. Like there wasn't people like, you can't have a female lead. Like there's always
Yeah.
this like misconceptions where that's happening.
I do, yeah. I would say this is about a 7 out of 10, but in terms of like how good of a take it is, I'm actually gonna give it like a 6 out of 10 because I think 2/3 of his point is accurate to where I actually do think that everyone has become more easily triggered and everyone is always like I mean, everyone is so much more polarized, and people are just so unwilling to even consider the other side. To where, like, Sam, you and I don't necessarily agree politically, but we're always able to have like really solid conversations about these things, even if we end up ultimately disagreeing. And that's like a very rare thing. And so I 100% agree that like the amendment would be all people have just become much more easily triggered. And I actually do think that just with the troll mentality of the internet, that there would 100% be like a huge outcry over Ridley Scott Alien being like, oh my gosh, like it's so unrealistic that like this woman would be the one beating the aliens and that she would be the only one to survive. Like, oh my gosh, like that's clearly just pushing the liberal. Like I can hear the incels in my
I get
brain
it,
just
but
shouting from their
no, but
keyboards.
here's the problem. I do agree with that part of the take. I think people exist to get triggered nowadays. They take things out of context. Like I do agree with that part of the take. But the problem is you can't agree with 2/3 of a take. Okay, I can't say like my hot wife is a lizard and be like, ooh, I really agree with like 2/3 of that take. It's like the take as a whole. I have to take the entire take into account. And like as someone who watched Alien as recently as 2 years ago and absolutely loved it and loves Sigourney Weaver in it, we're talking. I think there's a difference in what's going on nowadays back to then, and like that movie was very realistic. Okay, not the fact that there's an alien running around, right? But she's not beating the alien in hand-to-hand combat, right? She's barely escaping. She's having to outsmart it. It's like she's just like everyone else. She just kind of happens to be the person at the end. Nowadays, we see people in like as early as 15 years ago, women beating up men like tiny little women, just like, oh, I'm gonna jump on your head and flip you around, and I knocked you out, like, and I'm gonna do it to the next six guys that are surrounding me. It's become ridiculous. It's just not like realistic, and that's all part of the like female empowerment. We can do everything men can do. It's like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it.
Movies,
It's
yeah.
become ludicrous. Like I'm all for like as a horror fan, like and I'm all for like female empowerment and stuff. But for any movie in any for any character, it's like we just want to see some realism. Like give me a girl character that can get beat up, but maybe is smart enough to use the antagonist's like arrogance or physicality against them. Like that's fair, but
Hmm.
um yeah, you're just not gonna
Yeah.
convince me like a 90-pound girl is gonna beat up like seven Soviet Union like trained soldiers. So, all right, good take. Let's move on.
All right, cool, cool, cool. Another one from Glide here. Step Brothers is the most overrated comedy movie. It's not even close to being Will Ferrell's best movie. Talladega Nights and Blades of Glory are way better. Sam, how hard of a take is that?
Oh, I think that's like I think it's like a 9 out of 10. I think that's like rattlesnake bit you in the neck hot. Validity, I would give it a 5 out of 10. And I only say 5 out of 10 because like the two movies he mentioned, I also love. Talladega Nights and Blades of Glory. Like they
Mhm.
always make me laugh. Like I think Blades of Glory is honestly like, oh my gosh, it might be perfect from begin to end. Like it might be like it's such an absurd comedy, and it might actually be like a 10 out of 10 for me in the comedy sphere. Talladega Nights is probably like a 9 out of 10. Step Brothers for me is probably like a 10 out of 10. And like
Mhm.
Will Ferrell's so hit or miss for me, and I think he is for a lot of people. But like when he
Yeah.
hits, like I love all those movies. If you had to pick one over the other, like I'm not going to be upset. I think Step Brothers is the most iconic. I think it's probably going to exist the longest. I think it's the most original, right? Will Ferrell went through a phase of like, oh, let's do ice skating but make it funny. Let's do basketball but make it funny. Let's make NASCAR but make it funny. And he just went through this like epic sports phase where he just was like, let's make sports funny. Cool. I get it. I loved most of those movies. I just think Step Brothers is really original. I think John C. Reilly is amazing. I think all the actors,
John C.
like
Reilly's
Adam
pretty good.
Scott, is like iconic. Not to say the other movies aren't iconic. I don't have much to say here. Like I think Step Brothers is amazing. I grew up with it. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's quotable, just like the other movies. Like it's amazing to me. So I have no like. I'm sorry you don't like it. I'm sorry. Like that comedy is not for everyone. It feels like it's definitely a different styled comedy than the other two. Even though
Mhm.
Will Ferrell like plays himself, it's definitely it's a little different. It's polarizing in the way that Napoleon Dynamite's polarizing. It's like
Right.
Napoleon Dynamite is either a 10 for you or it's probably a 0. So I get
Right,
it.
right.
I get it.
I also think that this is a pretty bad take. I can also list a lot of other comedies that for me personally are overrated. Like in this podcast, I've watched a lot more comedies that I've ultimately been pretty disappointed by. We talked about how much I didn't like Meet the Parents. We talked about I enjoyed
Crazy.
Zoolander, but ultimately like felt like it was that I it was like wasted on me. I do think that it's not Will Ferrell's best movie. I also, Sam, like when it comes to Will Ferrell's most iconic movie, regardless of whether or not you think it's the best, his most iconic movie is Elf. I actually don't think you could argue that
You could
very
argue.
strongly.
I think you could. If I had to pick a
I in
most
terms of iconic, in
No,
terms
in
of
terms
like
of iconic, the first one that comes to mind, it's not my favorite movie by any means, but it's probably Anchorman for me.
or
Like
Anchorman, yeah.
I could see Elf for sure, like for the holiday season. Like I think that's more attainable, but I think when you yeah, that's another good argument to be made in general.
Yeah. All right. Let's see.
Let's
We're
see.
gonna go.
We have Kenny infamously said the hardest he has ever laughed in a theater while was watching Friendship. That's a crazy take. That's a crazy take.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
I
again,
feel bad
like
that you didn't like Meet the Parents or even Zoolander. Like Zoolander is so funny, so quotable.
yeah,
Um,
I do like there's some great lines of Zoolander. I'm like, what is this? A center for ants? Like that, it's really good. But most of the jokes are just him making his little like duck face at people.
oh, I don't know about
Um,
that. All right, well that impression's terrible. All right, let's move on to the next question.
all right, next one. We're going back to Bocage. This I'm not gonna be able to have a take on this one because I haven't seen this movie, but I think you've seen this movie, Sam.
I hope so.
Todd Phillips' Joker is not good.
Ooh. You know what's crazy to me, Kenny?
What?
Is what's this guy's name again?
Bocage? His real name? Jake.
Bocage had my favorite hot take. He was number one on the list above everyone. And now he has my least favorite hot take. Okay. But I have to
Whoa.
say, the spiciness of this take is, man, this is like a 9. This is again rattlesnake in the neck type stuff. The validity of this to me is like a 1. I saw this movie in theaters opening weekend with LD, and it was an experience. It was one movie, one hell of a ride, and showed just what the DC can be when in the right hands, when taken very seriously. I thought Joaquin Phoenix was amazing. There's a twist or two in this film that will blow your freaking socks off. There there's a lot of sympathy that gets drawn from you in this movie. There's horror in this movie. You get to really see things from it's a Joker origin story. You really get to see Gotham from a different perspective, right? Who is like we're looking at Thomas Wayne from the outside. Like, man, it was really, really good. And actually really interesting because the film I remember at the time caused a lot of controversy. Okay, Todd Phillips, like most people in Hollywood, getting into politics here, and I did come away seeing some political things in this film. It was around, came out like, I don't know, sometime during the Trumpism. Okay, sometimes when Trump, it feels like, has been around my whole lifetime now, but like there were a lot of comparisons in this movie comparing people like Thomas Wayne to Trump, and that he was actually this like sympathetic character that a bunch of people agreed with, and like it was really interesting. I guess Todd Phillips like did not intend for it to be this way and was like really upset, and there's a lot of stuff, but like whatever. All that aside, to say I loved Joker. Now I've heard the sequel is one of the worst films ever made. I heard it's legitimately one of the worst movies ever made. Um, so if you would have said that, I would have said okay. But like I thought Joker was amazing. I thought it was next level, and it was just one of the better theater experiences I've had in the last 10 years. So
Nice. Yeah, I haven't seen the movie, so I'm not gonna comment on it. It's such a bummer. We're kind of coming up on time, so I'm gonna make sure that everyone who had multiple at least could get two on there. So, we're gonna go back to Josh and his second hot take, as evidenced by their dominant 2025 box office and their producing of the Best Picture frontrunner, at least when it comes to movies, Warner Brothers leadership actually knows what they are doing. You can't stumble your way into 4 billion at the box office and the most prestigious award in film. Also, comma Dune. So obviously, Josh is kind of playing into um, he's trying to play to my audience and responding to Dune. But what do you think about this take?
I've always liked Warner Bros. I really have. I love Warner Bros. Like I don't even have much to say to that take. Like I like how cold is that take? That take might be like freaking Ice Cube cold. Like that's like a 1. Like the validity of the take is like a 10.
Yeah.
But is that what you want? Do you want a 10 on the validity? Do you want a 1? Do you want Ice Cube level takes? I don't know. Josh is one of the most hot take people I've ever met. I don't agree
Yeah.
with most of his takes. I've written to the state multiple times that he should be institutionalized, but at this point, I'm just disappointed. I was expecting something hot, and I just got ice cold water. So that's all I'll say
Yeah.
about that.
I actually do think that this is a hot take in terms of like if you're very much on like film critic Twitter, everyone just likes to crap on Warner Brothers or David Zaslav or just like the absolute just mind-numbing ridiculousness of their at least their business practices. But so to me, this take is actually a 5 out of 10. It actually is super. It's like warm milk in terms of. I think that
Mm.
if Josh were to say that like the Warner Brothers executives know what they're doing from like a business perspective, considering, oh, we're going to go to HBO, we're going to create HBO Max. Okay, now we're going to separate HBO and we're going to separate Max. Oh, we're going to like it's going to be Warner Brothers Discovery and we're going to actually move all the HBO stuff onto Discovery Plus Premium X whatever. It
No,
like
well, Josh
and now
does.
Warner
Josh does.
Brothers is like the crazy thing is they have had such an like they are on an absolute heater this year when it comes to making one great movies and two profitable movies that it's insane that they are for sale right now. Like the fact that they were able to make $4 billion really in 6 months, like let alone what they've been able to do the last five. The fact that they're still for sale, like that's just how just you know not not wise they are on the business side. But in terms of like what they're doing with movies, like Warner Brothers is single-handedly bringing back like I know that we've talked a lot about Sinners, but like one thing we can say is like Sinners is a well-made original movie.
Yeah,
And that's not something we get a lot
pretty
of, period.
original. Pretty original. All right, Kenny, let's go to the next one. Get
All right,
this
all
ice
right,
out
all
of my
right.
veins.
Okay. Okay, we got two from Glad, we got two from Dilbo. We got another one from LD. This one you may have to respond to as well because I haven't seen it, but The Sopranos is overrated.
Oh, The Sopranos is overrated. Sopranos is considered the greatest TV show of all time, I would say, by most people, besides Breaking Bad. Or I think if you went to, like I mentioned, maybe 10 different lists, you're going to find Breaking Bad or Sopranos at the top. Um, I don't agree with either of those being at the top, but I think it's really subjective for
Mhm.
something like that. But I got through, I believe, 3 seasons of Sopranos, and I agree. I thought Sopranos was pretty well acted, but kind of boring. Like I just didn't find it that interesting. I didn't really find any through 3 seasons any great twists. There was some drama here and there, but I just was not the biggest Sopranos fan. The same for me goes for The Wire. I got through 3 seasons of The Wire and I was just like, kind of over this. Like the episodes are too long. Like I appreciate what they were doing back in the day, like sort of like beginning of HBO, and they're like, we're gonna make these long episodes and these characters that are really round and these long storylines and plots and whatnot that are pulled out, but. I'm not a fan of The Sopranos or The Wire, like not to the degree other people are. Like I find
Mhm.
them a little slow. So I do I guess if I were to rate that take, I would say like hotness is probably like an 8 out of 10. It's like Wilden Buffalo Wild Wings hot because I think a lot of people our age haven't even seen The Sopranos, but I think for people who grew up with it, like I see all the time people just being like, Sopranos is the greatest show of all time. And there's no debate. Like, okay, great way to start a conversation. But
Yeah, no debate.
yeah, no debate. But like, I see a lot of people say that often, and I just don't agree with it. So I would say validity of the take, I would say is like a 7 or 8. And I'm someone who really can appreciate like old stuff, like 70s, 80s, freaking 30s, 40s movies. Like I can really love it if they hold up, but I just don't think it holds up for me. So great question.
Yeah. All right. I think we'll end it there, but this was a lot of
What
fun.
about
I
my
would
hot
love.
takes?
Oh yeah, yeah, Sam, let's go through your hot take.
Yeah, okay. So I have a hot take, and it's that The Scream 7 trailer came out recently and a lot of hype. Scream fans like me, Screamies, I just made that term up, but people were very excited for this trailer. They're like, wow, this trailer looks a lot more grounded than the last two films. The last two films, 5 and 6, got a little Hollywood, okay, a little over the top. This one feels little bit more grounded. Trailer came out, people were hyped. There's a select group of people and a pretty good group of people that are boycotting the Scream series now. Okay, because Melissa Barrera, she played the lead in the last two films. She was fired from the Scream series. Okay, this was after this was like a couple years ago, after the sixth movie had been released, when the gliders went into Israel and like murdered a bunch of people at a concert, and she came out and said all these like pro-Palestine, like anti-Semitic messages on social media. Okay, here's my take. One, and people are really upset. They're like, I'm boycotting the series because she was unjustly fired. One, she was not unjustly fired. Okay, I don't care which side you're debating here. If you are an actor, if you're a pro athlete, have any semblance of intelligence to keep your mouth out of politics. Okay, it doesn't matter what side you're on. Scream is like the highest grossing horror franchise of all time. Okay. And one of the greatest horror IPs of all time that's still going strong today. Horror IPs often come and go, or they're gone for 10 years, 15 years. Scream has stayed consistent. Okay. You cannot really expect a studio to risk the most profitable horror franchise of all time because their lead is acting out. You can be replaced in an instant. I don't care what you're on. Like, they're not going to tolerate that. You can be like, oh, but what about my free speech? You get your free speech, but it doesn't mean there's no consequences to what you're saying, especially if you're a famous person, right? So, yeah, like, that is my hot take, is like, justified that you were fired, right? I'm a small business owner. Guess what? If someone found out one of my baristas or one of my workers was like saying crazy stuff like that online and they didn't hire us again, they left us bad reviews, like, gone, you're fired. And that's a business with like 5 people. Imagine an IP that's supporting like thousands of people. Okay, so if you're in Hollywood, just like shut your mouth. If you're a professional athlete, shut your mouth. It's not going to do you any good. Like, just because you're popular, you fell into a role probably because of nepotism. Okay, you don't have like some. We don't care for your thoughts when it comes to this stuff. Okay, just because you're popular doesn't mean you have these like divine opinions about like what's going on socially and politically in the world. It's like,
you also don't necessarily have like, believe it or not, they also like, they do have a platform, and I can understand the mindset of like, hey, if you have a platform and you do have a following, and like, you do have, in a sense, like a moral responsibility to use that platform for good. And so I can understand that from that perspective. But to say that someone is unjustly fired because of what they said and that it was going to hurt ticket sales, like, that's just a misunderstanding of how any single company runs, right? It's like, I think we talked about that a little bit when we talked about Snow White earlier this year, where like kind of some of the same stuff,
because no one liked Rachel Zegler.
Yeah, and they sent studios, like, they had sent some executives to her to say, if you don't stop, we're gonna like take some consequences here, because guess what? Regardless of whether you agree or not, it's about the bottom line. And so it's like, Hollywood is intended to be a lucrative business, and I'm not even necessarily making like a value statement on whether that is how it should be or shouldn't be. Like, it is really messy when you try to combine art with making money. That's just, it's complex in that way, because there's an argument to be like, okay, you're an artist, you're trying to say something, you're supposed to have your work be meaningful.
But go do it in film, right? If you really believe that, like, go find a movie. Go do it with something like that. And like, all I'm saying is like, to respond to your point, one, it's like, oh, do they have a responsibility? I don't know. That's kind of up in the air. Like, you could argue that everyone has a responsibility. when it
Agreed.
comes to
Yeah.
that. But then the crazy part of that is like then there's a big debate on like what is morality, what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, because
Right.
everyone's gonna have a different take on that. But like I'm just saying, really hot topics, just stay away from it. I don't want to hear
Yeah.
people complaining of why they were fired. Like, listen, if you want to go open up like an animal shelter and like that's your good deed and that's you're doing good, it's like is that gonna hurt anyone? Is that gonna harm anyone? Is that gonna help people? Yes, yeah, like you're that's a good thing to do. Like if you're gonna do that, like can you go feed the homeless? There's a lot you can do
Yeah.
without stepping your foot into like the one of the biggest like world controversies. And I don't want to be that guy, but like you're really gonna have some anti-Semitic takes in Hollywood. Not insinuating who runs Hollywood, but it's probably not the best place to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's overall, it's just like, hey, it, I can understand that someone is standing up for what they believe in, even though I don't necessarily agree with what they believe in. It's also like, but hey, if you're like, then, oh my gosh, I was unjustly fired. It's kind of like, well, like you must not have considered the consequences of what you were doing. And that can go both ways. Do you have another hot take,
I have a lot of
or do
hot
you want to hear my
takes,
hot
but
take?
I'll stop at that and let's hear yours.
My hot take is my current, I think this is true. I was like looking back through my letterbox to kind of see how I felt about a lot of the movies I've seen this year. I think, and I'm not, this is not, I will qualify this before everyone tells me I've hit a new all-time
Oh
low in the
God.
chat.
Oh no.
This
You're
is
gonna
my
ruin the entire
favorite.
episode, aren't you?
This is my favorite movie of the year. I'm not
K-pop.
saying it's the best movie of the year, but my favorite movie of the year right now is Brad Pitt's F1 the movie.
Wow.
I think that that movie, have you seen it, Sam?
I haven't gotten around to it. I want to. I'm going to.
It is so crazy fun. I
I
just bought
didn't.
it on.
I actively did not like the last racing movie you told me to watch, but this one has Brad Pitt, so I'm willing to.
Yeah. This one's a lot less for the nerds and for the dads than Ford versus Ferrari. But this movie is it is so fun. It literally introduced me to a whole new sport that I now follow. And guys being dudes, just like entering into uh, the guys being dudes, canon
Yeah, I
there
love it.
is so incredibly fun.
Kenny,
So that's
what did
my
you give this movie?
man. I probably gave this movie like a 4 out of 5,
Oh,
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. That's your favorite movie of the year. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it. McNeasy says last racing movie I saw had Vin Diesel jumping between two skyscrapers. Yeah, did that happen in F1? Didn't think so. I do want to point
Oh,
out.
I do like that movie too.
I
I
do want to
like
point
that.
out. I want to point out really quick. Okay, I want to point out something. Um, my favorite movie of the year by far, and it's not even close. And I've teased it to McNeasy privately, and maybe to one or two others. My favorite movie of the year. I believe it's the only 10 out of 10 movie, in my opinion, that I've seen all year. Is can I get a drum roll? Mountainhead. It is on HBO. It
Wow.
is far and away the best movie I've seen this year. I am obsessed with it. I watched 20 minutes of it. It was so good, I had to stop it and say, LD, LD, you need to watch this movie. We rewatched 20 minutes in, and it went by. It was so good. I just watched 20 minutes. I rewatched the 20 minutes, and it was so good. It went by in the blink of an eye. The 20 minutes passed, and I said that felt like two. It was so good. Um, it's the best movie I've seen. And when we do our end of the year awards, Kenny, and we are going through, nothing
The
has trumped this.
McNeesys.
Yeah, nothing has. Yes, the McNeesys. Nothing has trumped this movie for me, and it hasn't come
Wow.
close. And to Josh, if he's in here, I know he had some crazy take about how the greatest movie ever needs to have every genre or whatever, something weird like that. I'm going to give him some credit because this film is a dark comedy. It's funny, horrifying. It's intellectually challenging. It's original. It's unique. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. And it's by the people who made Succession, which is one of my favorite shows of all time. It has that same Succession style. The acting is 10 out of 10, writing 10 out of 10, setting 10 out of 10, music 10 out of 10, plot 10 out of 10. It's my favorite movie of the year. So if y'all are
Wow.
looking for the movie I've been teasing in the chat or privately, it's Mountainhead. It's on HBO. Sit down, lock in. You're not going to want to miss a line. It's just that good. So,
I'm excited to watch it. You got me pumped.
yeah.
I'm excited to watch it. Did you ever? Well, no, we'll wrap it up and then we'll
Okay.
talk.
Well, anyways, this has been awesome. This is super fun. We'll have to do this once every, 10 episodes, 15 episodes or so. And I appreciate everybody submitting hot takes. It was super fun. Please, if you haven't, subscribe. If we get enough people to like this video, Kenny might agree to do some shorts, some TikToks. I get so many messages that say, you guys need to be doing TikToks and shorts. I try with this man, but he won't let me. But maybe if we get enough likes, we'll do that. Make sure to subscribe and join the Discord. I'll post it in the chat. Kenny, any last words?
Do we want to tease next week? Do you want me to say what we're doing next week?
Yeah, go for it.
Next week, we are going to be reviewing Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
Yeah, and maybe some of his other movies too, just for fun.
That'd be, yeah, Shape of Water.
Oh,
Anyone?
I've never seen
Anyone?
it. I've heard it's god awful. Okay.